Hello, my name's Hayley Pither and welcome to my director's commentary of my final draft of the trailer Takeover for my A2 Media coursework. Through this I'm just going to tell you about the decisions I made and why I made them and how it is effective. So please, put the kettle on, get comfortable, and let's watch. So that was the first shot of my trailer, and it's just of a green screen that you see at the front of every professional trailer. I included this to make my trailer look more realistic, like a professional media product. So there were the first shots of my main character. I've introduced them with 2 heartbeats for every time there was a cut. This was just to show that how frustrated he is and his emotions and his facial expressions. I used an establishing shot to show where he was. The actor looks as though he is looking at the view, just to further show his emotions of being distressed. I then cut the shot to being closer and him looking around. This is just to make it look interesting, and to show the viewer his facial expressions so they definitely know what his emotion is.
It's where she hurts them. She marks their skin. Don't you see? She's taken over Britain. She'll kill women, children, and even people like you.
So that was the production company's logo and the start of that little clip, and then I introduced it with another heartbeat just to make the trailer flow nicely as a part of the transition. The next part was a high-pitched sound effect which introduced the scene, and it had the low-tone music going over the dialogue. This was just to show the background music and the theme tune towards the product. I introduced to the main actor with an over-the-shoulder shot so his face was clearly visible, but I didn't want to introduce another actor whose shoulder we are looking over because I didn't want to overcomplicate the trailer by having so many actors in it. So through the actor's dialogue we can tell that there is a problem. The actor's dialogue, he doesn't state the initial problem, he just shows the aftermath, which really interests us. I didn't straight away tell what the plot was because I wanted the question to be and to interest the viewer, so they're going to watch the rest of the trailer to find out, as this is revealed later on through the character's dialogue. So there's the first part of action we have. We have some dramatic music, and I lined up some shots, some really quick cuts up towards the music so it flows nicely. Between the shots I put in another company logo. I was inspired by the trailer Taken, where they brought in the logo into the action, so the flow of the film kept going. The quick shots were of London scenes and of trains. This is just to further show how the setting is based in London, and it becomes more personal to a British viewer, so they're more likely to carry on watching it. I then had a sound effect that introduced the title screen, "This Summer." I put blue lightning behind it to make it look exciting, and I wanted the action within the title screen, so I had the titles fly across the screen. The sound effect with it just makes it more dramatic and has a bigger effect on the viewer. I included these to introduce more action and more scenes that were coming in. They are shown in professional trailers, so I wanted to include them into mine to make it look more realistic.
It's genocide. Now London, then Paris, then Berlin, Amsterdam, the whole of Europe's going to be affected.
So there was the next small part of my trailer. I had the dramatic music fade out as the character slammed a book. This was just to establish that she was now speaking, and I didn't want the loud music going over her, so I wanted it to be very clear that she was speaking, and I wanted the audience to be able to hear what she was speaking, as it further establishes the storyline and suggests more about the trailer. I put a scene over her dialogue just to suggest that this is the place that she is talking about. It makes it look more effective because we consider what it is in that scene, and it shows more about what the final product would be like. It's also shown in professional media product, so this further just makes it look more professional. It then had a side view of the male agent looking onto a board of different criminals and different maps to show the different storyline. It's just to suggest to the viewer. It has a clear shot of his face so we know what his facial expression is like and we can see what emotions that he is feeling. I then changed the opacity of other clips over the top to show what he could be thinking, and it also further shows to the audience what is in the rest of the product. This means they get a better idea and better understanding of what will be in the final product and they'll be more interested.
She's worse than Hitler. If I don't stop her, we're going to lose half the British nation.
So there we had a voiceover of the male agent talking about the villain, so we get a sense of who she is. I showed his face talking, and then I carried on the dialogue over a series of other shots. I did this just because I've seen it in professional trailers, and I think it's really effective because we still see other parts of the story. Some of the footage that I used was of a woman on a set, and her breath was very visible, so this just kind of made her look more evil, so I included that. I also showed one character picking up another character as though she needed help. I changed the colour of this set just because I've already shown I will have shown a part of this scene in the future, so I wanted to make it different from it, and to make it more interesting because the viewer's got to want to why I've used another colour. I could have used the colour red to make it look more like danger, however I chose to use the colour blue just because it reflects the colour scheme that I've got through all my different products. I also thought it looked more like a CCTV camera was looking through it, or a camera that sensed the temperature within the room, so that's the kind of impression I got from editing this, so I wanted to reflect that onto the viewer by using these colours.
All the murders linked to the war in the case from the 80s.
So there I had the dialogue going over another scene. The dialogue shows what's happening in the actual plot and it's made it a whole lot more clearer to the viewer and the demographic. And those who are interested in crime thrillers are going to be more interested in knowing that it's about crime and cases and murders. I did a shot of both agents walking through a hallway with guns as though they are looking for people who may be following them. I made it clear that there were two guns, as I've used these props because due to the thriller conventions, the demographic are expecting to see guns in a crime thriller, or similarly in an action we expect to see weaponry used. So I've used this here in the first section of my trailer, and I will use more of it later on, so that this just further makes it look more like a crime thriller, and it will further draw in the demographic. I also showed quick flashes of wombs. The wombs are obviously shown in symbols being cut into a victim. This just further interests the viewer as they see blood, as we associate blood and wounds with murder, and it just adds to the effect of it and the scenario by putting them over the top of the other scene. Just makes it more interesting because it's flashing more so, and it makes it look more professional, as I've seen this in professional media products.
Don't move! I said don't move! Please, just leave her alone.
So there I introduced another title screen that quoted "to rewrite history," and this follows on from the quote that talked about a case from the 80s, which was a few decades ago, so it further highlights the cases about history and further brings in the demographic. I gave it blue lightning in the background and gave it some more action. It also has a sound effect behind it to make it more exciting. It reflects the original This Summer title screen, so because they complement each other and are matching, it makes it look more professional because you see matching title screens in professional products. I then showed the agent firing a gun. I yet again made it very clear that this prop is a gun to bring in the demographic and to match the thriller conventions. It had gunshot sound effects to further show that it's a gun, and it had flashes coming out of it to make it look more realistic and more exciting for the viewer. I then showed the logo of an Aston Martin. These fast cars are really associated with James Bond movies and other crime movies. So by using this, really brings in the demographic who would, as they would be expecting to see this type of machinery within a film like this, within the genre. The audience is mainly a male demographic and stereotypically men like cars, so by including this the male demographic would like to watch it even more so. By then showing a police car and another car having a car crash and having the large, loud car crash sound effects with it, it makes it more exciting, as we can see that the authorities are involved with this situation, making it more exciting for the demographic. I then showed one agent picking up another agent with the voiceover saying, "Please leave her alone." This highlights that she is obviously victimised by the villain, and it makes us more intrigued because we want to know what she has done to her and why he is saving her, and it just leaves all these questions for the viewer to want to know, and they're more likely to watch the final product as they're more interested. Also, by having a voiceover, interests us more because we can hear more about the story and the rest of the plot.
Kelsey, you need to come back. We've got 1 week to save the city.
I can't keep doing this. I'm meant to be a researcher, not a field agent.
So in that shot I showed an older building that had been set on fire, so this further makes it more exciting and fits the action conventions. I then showed a Jaguar screen sat nav turning on, so by having the Jaguar make in the movie further highlights to the male demographic and attracts it to them because they're interested in this type of machinery. I then showed a hand with a symbol on it. This symbol has already been shown and talked about in the previous part of the trailer, so this just further highlights the scenario that the agents are in and what's happening within the scene, and it really interests us even more so by having this symbol repeated throughout the trailer. I then showed the actors' hands typing on a laptop, which is a close-up. This is to show their research behind it and what they're doing within it. I then cut to a timer which showed how many hours, minutes and seconds there are, and it was counting down really rapidly. The dialogue over that was that we have 1 week to save the city, which is what the male actor said. So by having a timer over that just further emphasises the scenario and the pressure that he feels. By having the actors turn around and as though something was behind them, it makes it more interesting because we want to know what the scene was from. It also transitioned from dark to light, making it more interesting and standing out more, because I saw there was a different changes in lights in professional trailers. I put the dialogue over the top of it saying, "Kelsey, we need you to come back." By doing this, it just further shows what could have happened within the plot and in the final product. It shows a close-up of the female agent's face, who could be Kelsey to the viewer. They can assume that this is Kelsey. She says that she can't keep doing this and shows what's happening, and that she is a researcher, not a field agent. This kind of reveals what the characters are like and what situations they're in. Further interest in the demographic. It cuts to the villain and different scenes of both agents. So this shows how distressed she is, and it shows the chaos through the white transitions. By having her voice over it makes it more professional, and by showing the other scenes just makes it look more effective because we can see what she is talking about.
I want them dead.
So there I showed a clip of a man's hand putting a key to an Aston Martin. A few shots after that I showed him driving the Aston Martin. The viewer can assume that this is the male agent. I put the sound effect of a car engine going over the top to further intrigue a male audience due to the stereotype of them liking cars. I had another voiceover from the villain that said, "I want them dead." Whilst it said that, it had a quick shot of the male agent holding another female character. So this suggests that he is distressed and has another relationship with somebody else, further showing the characters and the different plots and relationships between people in the final product. This will interest the viewer more. By having the voiceover, "I want them dead," just highlights to the viewer the aim of the villain and what's happening within the situation. I then put another title screen of the main actor's name and the director's name. I had a different transition to separate them from the previous title screens just to make it more interesting. I introduced them with a sound effect to make it more effective and to make it more professional.
We need to evacuate London.
We need military action to stop that bomb.
So there you can hear the music getting louder and having a faster pace. It builds up more tension. Therefore, I complemented it by putting really short cuts of different scenes with the music just to add to it and create that suspense for the viewer. I put in a gun and the sound effect of gunshots to further interest the demographic because they're going to expect to see lots of weaponry within the trailer. I then put on another timer with less time on it like I did in a previous shot, so this further establishes how time is running out and there is more pressure on the agents and more suspense and chaos within these faster scenes. I used the villain laughing over other shots. I then did show her mouth laughing as well, just as we associate villains to have an evil laugh, and this is like very stereotypical, so I wanted to include this. Also, through a focus group in my research that I did before making this trailer, they told me that it would be more effective just to show the mouth of the villain or one part of her, and if I were to show her face, to show it in a very fast shot to keep her more mysterious. Therefore, I only showed her mouth just to hold the illusion of her being a mysterious villain and to make her more scary. And it's more effective and shocking when the audience see her whole face. I used the voiceover, "We need to evacuate London." I made it much higher and put an effect on it to make it sound as though the actress was saying it out loud, potentially to a crowd or through a megaphone. So this further interests us. By saying we literally need to evacuate London really shows the extreme of the situation and really interests the viewer more so. I also show a repeated shot that were very fast to add to the tension of a pair of red heels. The colour red associates to evil and danger, so the viewer will assume that it is the villain that is wearing these. So this just shows the kind of character that the villain is. I then put another voiceover about how the agent needs to stop that bomb. Whilst he said that, there was a missile shown. And then another clip of a timer run into seconds just to create that tension and show how close the timing is. I then showed a train, and then I showed a train station being blown up by several missiles. So this just adds to the effect of weaponry and explosions being added in, as this is a part of the genre convention, and the demographic will expect to see this, and I know this through research with focus groups. By showing a missile being shot through the sky, and then having a shot of a train, saying "no smoking" on the window, and then having the missiles hit a train station, makes it really effective because the viewer can see where the missile's actually heading. And by having a train, we really associate this with the underground in London, so it further establishes the setting. The sound effects further emphasise the use of the bombs and gives a bigger effect to the viewer. I then carried on the dramatic music to carry on with the tension that the trailer has been building. I then showed a different angle of the agent being very heroic by saving his partner. I then showed a building in London being exploded. This is just to add to the effect of London being under attack. It also fits the thriller convention as the audience expects to see weaponry as it's mainly a male demographic that would be interested in this product. It further interests them because stereotypically they're interested in weaponry and explosions. I then had another title screen with the rest of the actors on the names on the screen. It complements the previous title screens, making it look more professional. I carried on with the dramatic music, creating suspense through this, and also included a sound effect over the title screen to make it more effective. I included really short shots that faded from in and out really dramatically, and I had a repeat shot of the villain's face only twice. However, because they were so short, it still leaves the effect because the viewer doesn't have enough time to register the whole of her face. The music fades out and creates that tension when she shouts fire over the top of the music. Followed on from then is an explosion sound, and I faded this black just so the audience are more shocked because they can't actually visualize what has been blown up, making it more dramatic. I had 3 quick shots of an explosion. This is just to suggest what was there and had been blown up, so this makes it even more effective. It then fades to black, leaving a long pause. So some of the viewers may think that this is the end of the trailer. However, it isn't, as it is just a pause, making it more effective as the sound is staying with them for longer.
What can I do to stop you?
Nothing. I won't stop until I've restored my family to creation. And your little girlfriend is first on my list.
So, following on from the long dramatic pause after the explosion, I included some heartbeats as though someone was caught in the explosion and has survived. It also complements the very start of the trailer where heartbeat introduced the scenes. I then had 3 short shots that went along with the heartbeat. I was really inspired by James Bond's trailer Skyfall because it had 3 quick cuts at the very start of the trailer which really intrigued the viewer more so. I then had an over-the-shoulder shot that had a high angle looking down at the protagonist. It was clear that he was tied up, making him look weaker. The camera angle also made him look weaker. I had a slight quiet sound over the top of it just to keep the pace going. However, it went silent when the villain started to speak. As the villain spoke, I put another cut over the top of it, which was a shot showing the actor holding a whiskey glass looking at a picture of a woman. We saw this woman previously as the protagonist was holding on to her, so it shows that this is his girlfriend that the villain is talking about. By having the prop of a whiskey glass really shows how distressed that he is, and it further suggests the rest of the storyline but doesn't reveal too much about it. So it still leaves this part of the mystery in the trailer that will really intrigue the viewer. We get more of an insight about the plot as she says she will restart what her family started. So this shows the history behind the case, making it more interesting. Yet again, I showed another close-up of her mouth, making her more mysterious. I made this part silent so she had more authority, and it made us respect her more because the whole focus was on her and not on any other music. And this made it more suspense as well for when I introduced the next part of the trailer and there is some loud music. So here we are introduced to the next cut with some loud dramatic music that matched the previous dramatic music. So this restarts the action within the trailer. I showed a really low angle looking down the barrel of the protagonist's gun. By doing this, it makes us physically look up to him, giving him more power. As the gun is literally shooting at the camera, therefore shooting at the viewer, it makes it more effective because the viewer feels threatened because the gun is pointing at them. I then had some quick cuts over the top of the villain going along the sound of the music, so it really complements each other. I put it in different colours to make it stand out more and become more flashy. I wanted to make it flash different colours just because it makes it more exciting and stands out more to the viewer. I saw lots of different transitions in professional trailers that dipped to white, making the screen having that flashing sensation. So it was more interesting and it grabbed the viewer's attention more. So I just wanted to try and include this into my trailer to make it look more realistic and effective.
Please, don't go in there! Don't go in there!
So that was the closing parts of my trailer. I have analysed this before in a previous director's commentary. However, I will still talk about this. I stopped the music between an explosion and I faded it out just so the viewer can focus on the explosion. It shows a picture of London being blown up, so this further fits the conventions and the demographics expectations of the trailer. I follow on the sound in an echo just so the effect of it stays with the viewer for longer. I have a close-up of the female agent talking on the phone and her voice echoes about not going in there, not going in there. So this interests us because we want to know where the protagonist has gone and what's happened to him. We then see him jump onto a pool table with a gun. This prop further highlights the genre, and we expect to see it in it, making it more exciting and targeted and attracting the demographic even more. The effect of him jumping is that it further relates it to an action subgenre. The screen fades to black and we hear a gunshot, and then there is a grey flash. So this suggests that there was a gunshot, however it's left on a cliffhanger, so it makes it more exciting. The explosion sound effect carries on, so we are still considering that aspect of the trailer and are still feeling the effects of the explosion. It then fades into takeover. By the effect of it fading in, it makes it more mysterious and it doesn't take away the effect of the gunshot. It then has another sound effect which introduces coming soon. I put in coming soon just because we see this in other professional products and I didn't want to put in a direct date. I then put in the credits and I made the credits electric blue to complement the rest of the title screens that I used, where I only used white text to put in coming soon so that it complements the title screen takeover that was previously on the screen. The transition that I used for the credits made it fuzz out as though it was on a computer screen, so the sound effect that I used also related to a computer noise, just which emphasises the effect of this. So this is the end of my director's commentary. I've gone into more detail about my trailer in the rest of my evaluation, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching.